Sadducees, or the religious leaders of the time, they continued to try to trap Jesus. Now, we know just prior to this conversation that we're going to discuss today, the religious leaders, they asked Jesus a question with the attempts to try to trap him. But what Jesus did, he put on a masterclass of how to confront the institutional system and the hierarchical system of the religious people and the institution of the time. And we can still use it today. But when we move on today, they tried to trap Jesus. They tried to trap Jesus with politics. But Jesus, he exposed them. He turned what they were trying to do upside down on his head, turned it around so that they can see themselves. So while they were trying to trap Jesus with politics, Jesus exposed the very root, the very issue that's causing the people to be selfish, but also exposing how they're displaying themselves to be a certain way, but deep inside they're not. Jesus exposes the hypocrisy. And while they were trying to trap Jesus with politics, Jesus exposes the hypocrisy of the religious leaders. Then he turned it down and summed it up with one question. If an image reveals ownership, whose image is on you? Today we're coming from the book of Matthew, chapter 22, verses 18 through 20. And this is what it reads. But Jesus, aware of their malice, said, why put me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the coin for the tax. And they brought him a denarius. And Jesus said to them, whose likeness and inscription is this? They were talking politics with worldly systems, but Jesus is talking kingdom talk, sonship. If the likeness is what you're after, and this coin that has Caesar's face on it, if that shows who your allegiance is to, then the likeness of the Father is not on you. So, whose likeness are you carrying? Because the likeness that you're carrying determines ownership. I can't speak for you, but I can speak for me and everyone in my house. We carry the image and the likeness of the Father. So we belong to him, our Father, who's in heaven. So ask ourselves, what's the big idea of this exchange, verses 18, 19, and 20? It's actually quite simple. Jesus exposes the Pharisees and describes what they're doing as political religion, which is spiritual hypocrisy. See, Jesus tells us not to be conformed to the world. He tells us not to be conformed to the world, but be renewed by the transforming of our mind, by the renewing of our mind. He's telling us not to be conformed to the world because the worldly systems are set up for disaster. The worldly systems has been infiltrated by the enemy. The worldly systems is contrary to everything that God desires. So we have an allegiance to worldly systems. The spiritual hypocrisy begins to manifest itself. Because when the heart reveals malicious intent, questions are never neutral. You see, by demanding the denarius, he forces them to confront a deeper issue. This goes back to the opening question. If it's all about the likeness, whose likeness is on you? See, here's the deeper issue: the ownership, allegiance, and the question of whose image truly governs your life. It's not about the coin, it's not about the money. Does worldly systems and government govern you, or are you governed by our Father who is in heaven? There's no gray area, there's no lukewarm, there's no straddling the fence. You're either all in with the kingdom of God, or you're all in the kingdoms of this world. Now let's get into it. Number one, Jesus exposes the real war. It's about the motive, not the money. You're never going to hear me say that money is bad, money is evil, because money is not. Money are tools. We use the money to advance God's kingdom in the earth. But the moment we begin to love the money, we forget about the tool that it was intended to be. Then we fall into the trap of Judas. With Judas, he loved the money and he betrayed the son. So money isn't bad. Money isn't evil. We need the money. We need the money to go forth and expand the kingdom and do great works and to help the poor, to help the needy, and to do all of these things. But it's a tool. It is not the thing. Let's not lose focus, because once you focus on the money, the motives shifts from kingdom activity to selfish ambitions. So Jesus is aware of the malice. I'm not going to get into what malice means. We talked about that yesterday. So Jesus is aware of their malice. Watch this now. The issue at hand is not taxation, it is control. What are they trying to control? They're trying to control the systems that they set up. They're trying to control what they're displaying. They're trying to control the narrative. They're trying to control who has the authority. See, it goes back to the parable of the tenants. The tenants lost sight of being a steward because they wanted to control the narrative and become the owners. See, the more we read the Bible, the more we see that they're telling the same stories, because God wants us to get it. So it's not about taxation, it's about control. It's not about money, it's about motive. They're trying to weaponize a public issue to discredit a king. See, they tried to trip him up earlier by trying to have him answer a certain way because the way they were trying to set up and try to lead and take control of the narrative, they wanted Jesus to go against Caesar, which is a worldly king, or they wanted him to go against Israel. Talk about the Messiah. They were so focused on their own agenda and their own motives that they didn't realize that the Messiah was in their midst. Now watch this. Jesus names it. Why put me to the test, you hypocrites? Why put me to the test, you hypocrites? Now watch this now. Jesus is a masterful teacher. He refuses to debate on their terms because religious leaders have already contaminated the conversation. Let's say that again. Jesus refused to debate them on their own terms because on their terms, the narratives and the outcomes was already there. They tried to control the narrative and set Jesus up by way of politics. But Jesus exposes them. Jesus exposes them. Jesus exposes the very heart of the matter. Jesus exposes the very fabric of the religious leaders. He didn't debate with them on their terms because it was already contaminated with their own selfish desires. Hmm. Selah. A malicious heart does not ask questions to be taught. They don't ask questions to be taught because they think they have control of the narrative and they already know and predicted the outcome based off of the structure of what they were presenting. See, what they do though, they ask questions to dominate the narrative. But Jesus operates with such kingdom wisdom, he begins to discern the motive, not just answering questions. But the only way you can discern the Spirit by the Spirit is if you have the Spirit. Mhm. Number two, the denarius is a trap and the exposure. Now we're about to really get into it. Watch this now. Show me the coin for the tax. Now, this is Jesus talking. Not he sets it up so perfectly. I love this exchange. He says, "Show me the coin for the tax." All the while, we're thinking it's about the coin and we're thinking it's about Caesar. He says, "Show me the coin for the tax." He's setting it up for them to expose themselves. They thought they had control of the narrative, but Jesus has control of the narrative because he is the narrative. Now, this is Jesus operating with surgical precision. Masterful. See, Jesus requires visible evidence of what they are already participating in. They're participating in the likeness, in the image that they have allegiance to. But he said, "Show me this thing so that I can show you the thing." They bring the denarius because they possess it. Don't miss this, man. They bring the denarius to Jesus because they already possess it, they already carry it, and they already transact with it. Don't get confused with possess it, carry it, and transact with it and think it's talking about the money. It's about the image. It's about the likeness. It has nothing to do with the money. We have prosperity gospel teachers. They make this about the money. It has nothing to do with the money. You feel me? He operates with surgical precision to show them the image and the likeness that they're operating in so that they can see themselves in a fragmented state instead of the one who has the dominion because the dominion relies with Jesus. And since they're rejecting Jesus, they're rejecting the dominion and authority and the capacity to rule and reign in the earth. Because the one who has the capacity is in their midst trying to give them the capacity, but they continue to try to reject them because they're so selfish and they're so conceited and they're operating in tunnel vision that they can't see what's in front of their face. Now watch this. In other words, the system that they are critiquing is already in their pocket. Now Jesus makes the private visible. Don't miss this. Don't miss this, man. Jesus makes he's I'm telling you, this is not about the money. Jesus makes the private visible. What do you mean? He's telling them to bring me the denarius, which was in their pocket. allowing the unseen to be seen so that they can be seen in the correct light. So Jesus makes the private, I'm going somewhere with this, man. Don't miss it. Jesus makes the private visible. The trap crumbles beneath their feet when they reveal their hand, which will eventually lead to their demise. Gee, what do you mean? You said it's not about the money, but you're talking about the money. You said it's not about the money, but you're talking about they had the money in their pocket, and Jesus told them to take the money out of their pocket because they're transacting with it, and they carrying with it, and they interacting with it, and they doing all this stuff with the money. But you say it's not about the money because it's not about the money. Watch this now. I'm going somewhere. The hypocrite will eventually be revealed because it exposes what we are holding while claiming we oppose it. See, we have to understand Jesus is talking to the religious leaders. On the surface, they're presenting themselves to be a certain way, but Jesus is saying, no, 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 no. I know what you're saying to the people, but I see you. What I want you to do, I want you to go in your pocket and take what's on the inside of you out so that I can show you and the people who you really are. Uh-oh. It's not about the money. It's about the image and the likeness. Number three, the question of image is the question of ownership. I told you I'm going somewhere. About to land this thing for you. Whose likeness and inscription is this? Whose likeness and inscription is this? This is not a question about the coin's design. This is not a question about the coin's value. This is not a question about who's on the coin. This is not about the coin. It is a question about authority. Because who you have allegiance to shows whose image and likeness that you carry. And whose ever image and likeness that you carry shows what authority you have. Do you have the authority of the worldly systems, the ones that we were told to rule and have dominion over? Or do you have the image and the likeness of the one that Jesus came to restore back to humanity? I told you it's not about the money, man. It's about the systems and the motives. Whose image and likeness is in you? I'm not talking about the image and likeness that you're putting on display for the world to see. Whose image and likeness who is in you? Because that determines what jurisdiction you have. Caesar stamps his image on the money to signal this belongs to my realm and functions under my rule. It's not about the money, it's about what systems govern you. Caesar says, I want you to have allegiance. Since you have allegiance to me, I'm going to give you something that has my image and my likeness on it. This belongs to me. This belongs to my realm, and this functions under my rule because I said so. Jesus takes this and elevates it from a discussion of tax responsibility and civic responsibility to identity theology. Uh-oh, watch this now. Watch this. If Caesar's image is on the denarius, it can be returned to Caesar. But God's image is in the human being. Therefore, it shall return to him. When we operate with the stamp of the image and likeness of the Father, we operate in the realm and jurisdiction of the Father. But if your image and likeness is attached to the systems of the world, your jurisdiction is in the world. But Genesis 1:26 tells us Let us make man in our image and in our likeness. Why? So that they can rule over the fish in the sea, the birds of the sky, and over all the things, the creepy things, and over all the things that creeps on the earth, and over all the earth. That's what God's saying. I'm going to put me inside of my children so that they can rule over the fish in the sea, the birds of the sky, the fall, and all the creepy things, and over all the earth. Those worldly systems are in the earth. But if you're so ingrained and so ingratiated with the things of the earth, you don't really have any jurisdiction or authority at all. Because those who bears the image and the likeness of the Father, they have rulership and dominion over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and over all the creepy things, and over all the earth. So Jesus was showing them, unless the image and likeness, unless the image and likeness is in order, you have no authority. See, Jesus was turning these worldly systems upside down on his head because he knew the king is here. The king is here. And then, since we are children of God the Most High, the kings and queens are still here because you're here. Mm. The deeper issue is not what you owe Caesar, it is what you owe God because you bear his likeness. Kingdom reflection. Coins bears Caesar's image. Humans bear God's image. The ultimate question is not a political one. Not it's not a political allegiance, but spiritual ownership. Who owns you? Who owns you? Is it the one who has infiltrated all of the systems of the world, all the governmental systems of the world, or is it the one who operates in the light? Does the one who's masquerading in the light own you, Satan, or the one who is the light own you, God? Jesus is dissecting this thing with surgical precision, and I love it. Watch this. I'm almost done. Number 4, the trap becomes a mirror. He set him up. He set it up. They tried to trap Jesus with controversy. Jesus turns that controversy upside down. How? You can debate taxes and still be spiritually dead. Uh-oh. You can debate taxes and still be spiritually dead. You can talk about Caesar while refusing God's claim. And number 3, you can appear righteous while operating in malice. I don't care what you're displaying to the people. What I do care about is what's being displayed within you. A lot of us are walking around claiming that we're holy and claiming that we're Christ-like, but behind closed doors, you're operating like you're in the world. You can miss me with the outward appearance because I'm checking the fruit. I'm checking the fruit. What are you producing? If you're still talking about producing money, focus on the money instead of the image and the likeness of the Father. I'm sorry. You're going to be in for a rude awakening. Jesus forces the audience, forces the readers to confront a reality. There are 2 realms, but only one ultimate king. The visible realm demands currency. The visible realm loves currency. The visible realm has its allegiance to currency. The invisible kingdom demands you. The kingdom does not start with what you pay, it starts with who you are and whose you are. Uh-oh. It doesn't start with what you pay. It doesn't start with the accolades we give ourselves. It doesn't start with how much money you have or how many beautiful homes you have. It starts with who you are based on whose you are, based on who you belong to. Final thoughts. Jesus does not get trapped because he refuses to be governed by manipulation. He exposes that the real issue is never a coin, it is the heart. We teach this and we make it about the coin, but it's not about the coin, it's about the motive, which exposes the heart. The denarius reveals Caesar's image, but human life reveals God's. The question we face is not whether you can answer religious controversies, it is whether will you surrender to the rightful owner to the image you carry. I know there was a lot, but we must continue to self-reflect honestly because we can lose sight whose image and likeness we belong to. Whoever you allow to own you determines your outcome. God said with him, eternity in heavenly places, even today. But those who deny him, you will be subject to damnation, where there's fire and brimstone and weeping and gnashing of the teeth. Have a decision to make. Thank you for tuning in to the very start of this series. I thank you. And as always, I love you. Peace.